our destination?
Wedding do's and don'ts.
Let's go for a ride.
Welcome to Girls Trip. As you know by now, this week we're talking
Weddings.
all things weddings.
All things love.
And now that we've had plenty of time to reflect on our weddings, we're just going to go through some of the things that we loved that we did for our weddings and some things we would definitely do differently in retrospect.
Yeah.
Start
Start with the positive.
Let's start with the positive, right? Let's start with the positive. First, I don't know why, but the first thing I thought of when I was thinking about things I was happy about was that I didn't do a cake. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind, but I feel like so much wedding cake gets wasted.
Yeah.
Yep.
People don't eat it. They just leave it there. Cakes are so crazy expensive that I was like, we're not huge cake people. I don't want this all to go to waste. I wanted some other fun desserts like ice cream and stuff like that. So we did like a cupcake tower, and that's we
what we
still
did.
like fed each other, pieces, and made my husband bleed because of that.
That's another story.
Yeah. Great way to kick off your marriage. Let me just give you a face injury.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I was happy that I wasn't pressured into,
a cake,
doing the traditional thing if it didn't fit, what we wanted.
Sure.
I think we had actually, or maybe that was becoming more popular than when we got married, because that was more, I think, pushed as like, these are what people are doing these days, is a cupcake tower.
It was trendy. It was trendy to do like donuts and cupcakes.
Exactly. Like the donut wall. So we ended up doing, or our, not caterer, but the company doing the cakes and the desserts, they were like, we'll make you a small cake, like a 6-inch one. If you want, you can cut, but the rest will be just a cupcake tower. And we got to pick like 3 different flavors of cupcakes. Ooh. So it wasn't just like chocolate vanilla, we got to go fancy. I think we had like a key lime, a chocolate, and made it fun that way. So I really appreciated that, because I was the same way. I'm like, what if I don't like the cake?
Yeah.
I like cupcakes better than cake as well. So
on the route of food, honestly, food for us was one of the most important factors in who we went with and all of that. We were thinking, one of the biggest things that people walk away with is the food. Like, how is it? Yeah. So we chose somebody that was so tried and true with food for us, and that I'm just so happy that we went with is the vibe of the place. If you're from New Jersey, you just like already know the vibe.
God.
The gaudiness was very evident. And that's just not, I have a big Italian family, but I just wanted something. I would have gotten married in a barn, but for some reason, the barns in New Jersey are more expensive than the marble floors. And
it's trendy. That's why.
Exactly. So anyway, it wasn't really the vibe I wanted, but the food was so good.
You're saying this right now.
And it's like, it's unmatched, but also the dessert room that we went in that they had for us. It was like, what? That's exactly what we knew people would walk away with. So even though we maybe sacrificed a little bit on the aesthetics of the room itself, because you can bring your own flowers, you could bring your own, all your own fun stuff. I'm still really happy that we decided to be like, okay, even though this doesn't have the beams that I want or like the stringed lights or this natural look, I know that is, people walked away very happy. So
yeah. I'm devastated that donut walls were not a thing when I got married.
That would have fit your vibe.
That is my vibe. It's a donut wall. But with food, I would have done it differently, but not because I didn't like what I had, but because I couldn't get what I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
It was, I wanted basically what now would be like the 2-hour cocktail hour type thing with like lots of picky foods, more casual type of foods.
A 4-hour charcuterie board.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like walking around. I didn't want a big, heavy sit down meal. Again, my wedding was outside in a field, in a tent in the middle of the day. I would have even been happy with like food trucks. Like that would have been so fun. And I tried so hard. And people were just looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would we don't do that? No one
have to be the
why
pioneer
would
No,
you
that's
do
so
that?
true though, because when we had gone to our caterers, our venue, we told them what we wanted and they were like, oh yeah, no, we got that. We could do that. Which is
Yeah.
more like, I don't even remember. You're gonna have to remind me. Was it like a buffet style? It wasn't like a sit down.
No, because it was off-site catering, so
Right.
it
Right.
had to be. But yeah, it was. They had a little bit different. Like we had a slider station,
Okay.
and But I just remember telling them, okay, like I want my one big tent where everyone's gonna be and sit and dance and eat. And then I was like, I want smaller tents that will have like the food and drinks and stuff like that. And they were like,
No.
we don't understand. I literally had to draw a diagram and they like couldn't wrap their minds around what I wanted. I'm like, it's not that crazy of an ask, but yeah, I think we were right on the cusp there of like before changes started happening in the style. So every time I go to a wedding now where I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. Why couldn't they deliver on that? So I would do it differently, but it would
But you
just
didn't
be
really
more,
have a choice.
It would be more possible. I just
Right.
didn't have that option then.
Yeah. I really appreciated the whole first look. We technically didn't have a first look, but I love doing all of the pictures before the ceremony because it was just one less thing I had to think about. And still, I forgot to take one specific photo that I wanted. But I was like, at least I got to do like spend more time. Okay, I wanted each bridesmaid. I want every groomsman. Like every person in my family, I wanted a photo, immediate family. So we got to experiment, I think, a little bit more versus you being in a crunch time. Now I know some people like want the first look of you walking down the aisle, but we were already married at the time. So I was like, let's just do whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I love that because I didn't feel then stressed about like, we gotta go to the next thing. So that was just one less thing to be thinking about. So I really appreciated that.
I'm very against that. That's me. I'm that person. For you, I think it was very different.
It was
totally
different.
We're literally married already. So.
Yeah. And in actually the
Takes it
first
away.
day, we did not see each other. So that's sort of like my whole situation. I feel like is just there's no handbook or no manual for this. You're like, everything
you
goes.
were in a category of your own, but so many people do the first look now. And I don't know, I was so happy that we didn't. I was so happy that our first time was seeing each other go down the aisle. Again, it really depends on the nuances of your day. My day was going to be very easy because we weren't going anywhere except for across the parking lot for our reception.
That's right.
Like it was the church and then we were walking over to where the reception tent was going to be.
Yeah.
The field.
So I had no stress about feeling crunch time or fitting things in, and my photographer was very chill and she was like, no problem, like let's take these photos, and we still made it to our cocktail hour. And if you're traveling an hour from your ceremony to your reception, you might need to be more practical. But I don't know.
You like that moment.
There's
That's
a little bit
fine.
of magic in that moment where otherwise it feels like, I don't know, like we're being very corporate about this. Like get your pictures in and move on.
Thomas and I both experienced like the exact same emotions without knowing it because we weren't with each other and we weren't talking to each other. So leading up to the moment that we were together in the church building, but we both were like on the cusp of like, so it was so emotional, and like, so there's just like a lot going on that day too. So there was so much adrenaline and we were so emotional that we both were almost like crying as the music comes on and now the bridal party starts walking down. I didn't realize him up in the front he's getting emotional. I'm behind the scenes getting emotional. But then something happened where I'm like halfway down the aisle and our eyes just like hit, and and in my head I'm like, I'm good. We can, this is all good. We are like no anxiety, no stress. This is amazing. Can't wait to get down there. And then he proceeds to tell me afterwards in the limo, he was like, I was not doing good until I saw you. The second I saw you, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I was like, oh God. Okay. So to have that even moment afterwards where you're like, oh, what were you thinking? Or what was going through your head? Like that was great.
Yeah.
So a little tangent. So you didn't necessarily cry. Thomas didn't cry. What happened for you guys? Do you remember?
Miles was like, yeah, this is nice, I guess. This is good. He was like so just cool and just like, yeah, you look nice. This is good. Oh, everyone came. That's
so
nice.
Miles.
Like,
That's so wow, people here. That's so Miles.
Okay.
he was very laid back. Yeah, he didn't have any sort of big emotional reaction at all. I was like, hello, aren't I gorgeous?
Yeah.
Don't I make you cry?
Yeah. I think Thomas was like, he was so overwhelmed because he doesn't like being the center of attention.
Okay.
So knowing that all the people there, and he was just like, this is what is going on. He was just like, this is overwhelming. We're about to get married. And then it was just cool.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Artie was, or I remember like my dad and I were about to walk down the aisle together. And I remember being like, oh my God, like, you can't, like, I was just telling myself, do not cry. Like, you have to distract yourself. And I remember starting to walk, hearing the music, and I'm looking at Artie and I can tell he's nervous or whatever. And then I see, and like, he looks like he's gonna cry. And then Thomas like elbows him and he kind of like laughs. And then I was like, perfect. So I was like, we're good to go, walking down the aisle now. And he kind of like, we got this. And I was like, okay, we got this. Because I was like, if he cries, I probably will cry, but I'm like, hold it together. And then my dad cried for both of us. So that was good. It was good.
Ed had everyone covered on that.
sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Okay. So speaking of walking down the aisle, this is the behemoth that I was carrying, which I don't know if you can really grasp the heft.
Can I hold
this? Yeah.
oh, this is a weapon.
This is
No, it really could be. I mean, think of the sharp edges.
it's like a medieval weapon.
This is but like, what a feminine way to murder somebody. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, this is intense. And this has been, thrown at the bottom of a closet in my parents' house for 13 years. So it hasn't been kept in the best shape,
but it still looks
pretty
good.
It's
Beautiful.
still semi put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that I wanted to do. And I'm glad that I went through with it and, did something a little weird, but remains meaningful to me. So my mom's mom, my Nana, she had a lot of brooches that had been passed down to my mom, and that my mom had started to pass down to me. And she had passed away long before my wedding, but I wanted to incorporate that piece of her that I had. And so I decided to take them all, and then I thrifted a couple of others to fill in the gaps to create this bouquet to walk down, which was it was a fun project to work on. I felt like it really represented my personality.
And they're all like, you can't tell, but so many of them are floral.
Yes.
So that's what's so like beautiful about it too. It like is symbolizing what you're doing anyway with the traditionally what a floral bouquet would be. So beautiful.
I'm really glad that I did something different, took on a project. Don't be afraid to do the DIY things.
Yes.
If you have a vision, go for it. Go for it and
just
make
like
it
so
happen.
sentimental. Like,
I know. It's beautiful.
Oh, love it.
Something that did not exist when I was getting married, or maybe it did, but no one knew about it. But now there's so many things you can do with your bouquet. Like that was a big thing.
Yes.
Like when I was like, why am I going to spend hundreds of dollars on a bridal bouquet and then it's done after one day? I can't preserve it. I can't take it. But now they make these like beautiful resin like tables or trays.
A friend of mine has a gorgeous tray.
Yeah, they're
with her
beautiful.
floral with her flowers in there. I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and you're always going to have this from your wedding day.
Yeah,
That's
amazing.
one thing I wish I did, but I think when I looked something up, and it wasn't something as practical as that, but I was like, oh, that's a grand to preserve my. I was like, maybe not. So
Yeah, I think this person I'm talking about, I think has kind of an in with a florist.
Yeah.
So I
that's
mean,
like a very beautiful way though to keep that if you really want that.
Yeah,
to last.
love that idea.
But it is hard like to think about that kind of stuff that you would have to do immediately after your wedding, because you're so busy planning leading up to that by the time you're in a honeymoon, you're like, I don't want to think about anything.
Yeah. I think you need a vendor to say, we also offer this.
offer this.
Would you like
Then
to
it would
tack
be
it on?
helpful.
And then as soon as the wedding's over, they steal your bouquet because they know that you're not going to do it yourself. Probably you're going on your honeymoon, you're on vacation afterwards. There's so much going on. You need someone to kind of like provide a service for you at that point.
But I think more of that kind of stuff now that I'm like, yes, $1,000 at the time I would have been like, absolutely not. That's insane. Especially after all the money I just spent on my wedding. I'm not doing that.
Right.
But now I'm like, what kind of like fairly family heirlooms
Right.
am I accumulating to pass down to my kids? Like, I don't have anything like that's beautiful or meaningful. And like, you know, so those are the times where you create stuff like that at those major milestones but I wasn't thinking about that at the time.
It's a really challenging thing to think about as well. Cause you're like, all right, I'm thinking in the moment. I'm trying to plan this, not 50 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not thinking like, ooh, I would love to have a tray to pass down to my daughter for her house. You know, again, not that was not something that was really existing at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've seen some really beautiful things done with that, which I was happy
I did
about.
love that. I mean, something being passed down or going along those lines. My dad surprised me at the wedding reception of having photos of like my great grandparents from his side and my mom's side. And I knew about them, but I had never seen really photos. So he dug deep to find those, and he made like a timeline, which I thought was, it's
So
more,
sweet.
I think, what's the word? Like, you know, just giving a little conversation starter, but also just showing kind of, you know, our heritage, where we came from and stuff like that. Conversation starter for like my family members who maybe hadn't known that. So I thought that was something that was really special. I know you could do that with both sides of the family, but I was like, oh, that's very sweet and just something pretty. And all of them had passed away, so none of them were actually there. So sometimes you want your grandparents there in some way, or for them to notice that. So I thought that was really, really sweet.
So sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Anyone else have anything
Positive?
positive before we jump ship?
Oh, but the whole wedding was positive. But,
yes.
I mean, I feel like, we all had
but
very
also,
unique things.
if we have to talk about negative things, we can talk about
go
negative
there right now. Let's just dive in.
Let's see. What would we do differently? So you would, you can't even say that you would do your photography differently because
No, I didn't have a choice.
you didn't have a choice.
It is what
That
it
just
is.
happened to you.
It is what it is. I mean, I didn't get my photos back until 5 months later, which I feel like is a little crazy. And like that, but that is representative of what was happening at the time. It was just utter chaos. So nothing you can do about that. Photos, that's a whole nother situation.
I don't have a lot of like, even overall, I don't have a lot of regrets or things that I was like, I don't like this in that moment.
Yeah.
Mine's more just like so much has evolved over the last decade plus that I'm like, ooh, I would definitely incorporate this new thing if I was getting married now. Like, I love my photographer. She was amazing. I'm so glad I went for what I wanted with that. I just remember saying like, I don't want our family pictures in front of the fireplace or like at the piano. I was like, that's just not me. I don't want that. So she did an amazing job. But now being in, like I was in my friend Vanessa's wedding and like, she just had so many different types and styles of photography happening that day, from like Polaroids to little mini like filmed moments to like, and then she got these options where it was like, here's the same photo in 12 different filters. And there were just a lot more, it seems like now that you have options, and they're really like, they're documenting the day, not just we have these standard like portrait times. You're getting a feel for the whole day through video and photography. So I would have loved to have had more of that.
Yeah,
I wish
sure.
I saw a lot of people take like film, like disposable film cameras, and put them at each table. And I
So
remember
fun.
thinking of that, and I think I just didn't write it down, so I just forgot all about it. And then a little shortly thereafter, I was like, man, I wish I
would have
those
loved to do that.
They're ridiculous photos, and you know they're not going to be good, but it's like that where it just captures these like sweet moments, or just the floor, but it's like someone took that on our wedding day. So it's just a fun thing that I wish
even
I
more
grabbed.
of that. Like, it was not a thing when I got married. For now, they have all these things, right, where guests can take even photos on their phone and like upload it to
I don't think that
a
was a
central
thing.
location or tag it or something like that, or disposable cameras. I'm like, that's so fun to see it from their perspective. I don't think I have a single photo that wasn't from our photographer, like that anyone else took of the day. So I would have definitely loved to have had more of that, more of guests taking photos.
Getting away from photos,
Because you really can't stand
She's
to
like,
think about
that
it
word is a trigger
anymore.
word.
If we could just move on, please. No, my only regret or change I probably would have made if I was getting married now and I could tell myself to change that one thing, I would say don't feel pressured to on your guest list also include plus ones in there, like just that pressure of doing that. Yeah. I think just your wedding is so important, and the people that are there with you are representations of, you know, like these are the people that we do life with.
Yeah.
Even if they are people who you haven't seen since like childhood, right? Like you helped form me into the person that I am now. Like you played a role somehow. So asking then saying, yeah, sure, bring a plus one to someone who you don't even know. That could be that like just could throw something in the mix.
It changes the dynamic.
It changes the vibe. It changes the dynamic.
100%.
I probably would have just stuck to the people that, you know, I would be normally inviting anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But I just felt like that. Oh, like you should do that.
Yeah, because you want your guests to be happy.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like, no, we're not doing that, or you know, we're trying to keep it more intimate or whatnot. But it's true. If you have a personal relationship with the people there, they're just gonna get it in a different way. They're gonna understand why you're doing certain things in your ceremony, or you know, why you are not doing things in your reception or whatnot. And yeah, it gives a different vibe when you're going around and taking pictures with your table to not be like, who is this person?
Yeah.
It's true. It's a hi, hi, nice to meet you. It's my, on your wedding day. It's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think it's also becoming much more popular, but I think because people are getting married maybe a little bit older as well, you're more grown up. You have your group of people. You're not really having 300 plus. I mean, some people are, but a lot more people are having more intimate like these are the people who are very important in our lives, whether it is 50 to like 100, 150, those people are still very important to us. So we want to invite people, you know, we are in conversation with, we wouldn't mind. I forget who mentioned this, but it's like, you want to invite someone to your wedding who you wouldn't mind picking up the phone right now and having a conversation with.
Exactly.
You won't want it to be like, hello, like, hi.
It's
like,
just a good rule of thumb.
But it's someone who you feel comfortable with. And even again, I know some people go back and forth with family and like, well, they're family, they should be there. I understand that. I 100%, you know, can agree with that at times. And there's a way you want to honor, you know, your parents.
Right.
But I think for you, ultimately, like your core, you really want to be people that you, you know, are sharing life with. So I think it's super important.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's no problems with that. Yeah.
Probably
Thank you for validating me.
You're so welcome.
You're right, sweetie.
Almost 5 years later, you're great.
I needed that. I've been holding on to that for a long time. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think the biggest things that I would change, because they've changed so much, is our bridal party attire.
Okay.
Like now there are so many options and affordable options and fun options for bridesmaids dresses.
Yeah.
Like when I was getting married, we went to Macy's. Like that's
what you did.
That's what everybody did. There weren't really online places that you could get a dress for $99.
Yep.
And I wanted everybody to be in like a different shade.
Okay.
We did all neutrals, but like a different, some were more rosy, some were more like tan, you know, but different shade. And at that time it was like, what? Really? Now it's like this
Now it's
person's
all
wearing
the rage,
florals.
yep.
This person's wearing, you know, but I love that there are way more options for color design and just feeling good. Because I've worn
you're not
many
being
bridesmaid
forced to wear a
dresses where I'm
dress.
like, this is not for my body. Like this does not look good on me, or this color doesn't look good. And not breaking the bank. Like my bridesmaid dress is like over $200 at the time. And I'm like, ugh,
crazy.
it stinks. And even for the guys, like, again, we were right on the cusp where, you know, we didn't want to wear tuxes, which was like the standard. I wanted them to wear like navy suits, but we weren't at the point yet where people were like buying a suit at a store to like really fit them nicely. We still rented them.
Okay.
And they fit so horribly, like so bad. Like Miles looked like he was wearing like, you know, his dad's suit. Like it didn't fit well at all.
my
It
gosh.
was so bad. So yeah, those things have come a long way since
So a
then.
little memory you're packing away forever and be like, yep, that was what we had to do.
So I like the options now way, way more.
Even for myself, I loved, like, I knew I wanted navy blue as like the color. And we went with a company that I was like, this is the page, pick any style you want, but it has to be this color. I feel like even now I might have tweaked it a little bit and gone more adventurous with like different florals. I wouldn't have mind that, I think, but to me at the time, like that was still like edgy. It was like, ooh, we're now changing the style. But I love that because I'm like, I don't want to force someone in a dress that they hate.
Yeah.
Like I already hated the fact that I'm like, you are buying this dress that's, you know, it was like $99 or something, but I'm like, that's still expensive for like maybe a dress you'll wear once. So
Especially if this is like your 6th wedding this year.
Right? So
Yeah.
I at least wanted them to feel comfortable and maybe wear it, you know, to another event that they could accessorize or whatever. So
Yeah.
I love that.
I get that. Did either of you have wedding websites?
Yes.
No, I just had my registry.
Okay.
Zola?
Zola.
Yeah, I think you did that. Yeah. I was
so
shocked
I guess
that
it's
I
a
did that.
website in its own
It is,
way,
yeah.
but it's not like people go all out.
Oh, yeah.
Today, all out. We didn't do that. We didn't go that crazy.
Yeah, if that had existed, I definitely would have spent far too much time
100%.
writing
Yeah.
clever bios for all my
Yeah.
whole bridal parties.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
even
probably better
shocked
for me.
that I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like wrote a whole, I was like, how we met and da 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 da. I didn't.
So cute.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
you. That's so you, though. That
But
makes sense.
I'm scared to read it now because probably the grammar is not. I don't know what I wrote, but I was like, babe, read this.
That was another nightmare though with
Yeah.
registries in 2020 because nothing
gosh.
was like coming in on time.
Coming, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
oh boy, what a time to be alive.
I honestly feel like, I mean, you went through, it's such a change now, but even for us getting married then, it's like still everything has shifted so much because everything went then online and it used to be in person. So it's like crazy how much it has changed.
We're going to get into bridal showers.
Oh, yes.
I was just gonna say something. I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
like,
in
to go
another,
that
another
direction.
week, so we're not going there yet.
Yeah.
But
all
I
have-
do
we
all have fun
remember when Fortune Offs shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, where am I going to register for my wedding one
Stop.
day?
Yeah.
I was like, that was the place to go.
go.
Growing up, you know, like that was the thing.
I thought I would think of it more as Bed Bath and Beyond for,
us.
us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I was
We're the same age.
I know.
Listen,
She got married when she was 20.
She was a child's
I
bride.
think I was still I think I was still a kid when Fortune Offs or
Went
like
out of
very
business?
or very
Okay.
young
Oh,
teenager or
okay.
something. When
But
out of
that's
business.
what you
But
associated
that's what I associated with because I was
registry.
always
Okay.
going there with my mom to buy wedding gifts for people
Okay.
from their registry.
Yep.
And I was like, I need to have my like little gun scanner moment going around the
that was
store.
Bed Bath and Beyond for me.
Yeah.
That's what I associated
Yeah.
it with. Oh, that's so funny.
But and now Bed Bath and Beyond is gone. I'm
Yeah.
like, where's my daughter going to go? The moon?
Yeah.
Like, where is she supposed to go?
She'll just pick one of the 86,000 websites that does this
I
now.
know.
I know.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
It does
Going
take-
around
It does
and
take that
scanning.
moment away, right? Of
Totally.
for your wedding.
A little
yeah.
bit.
Just a little bit.
But don't get off on bridal showers. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Yes.
we're
We
not.
have
We're not going to go there. We
so
have
much to touch.
We have much more to say about
Yes.
that. But if you have any do's or definitely don'ts to share with some upcoming brides who may be watching, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to enjoy the view wherever your ride takes you.